UBS. Coming up here on the big program, a deeper dive into what you wear in the boardroom, Katie. I don't know what you wear, but the cast of Succession, they wore Norwegian wool. And, well, that product placement has vaulted this company into, I guess, the stratosphere, if you will, of name recognition. A sit down coming up after the break, Katie, with the CEO of Norwegian wool.
Looking forward to that.
This is Bloomberg. Time now for our Wall Street Week daily segment with the host of Wall Street Week, David Weston, who joins us every day around this time. And David, there's this thing out there called quiet luxury. Where,
I know.
Yeah, where people are wearing these really nice clothes, but they don't have the big flashy logos and other things that maybe detracts.
See,
from,
you are so far ahead of me in fashion. I had to learn about this, actually. I didn't know exactly what it was, but you're right. It's all the rage right now. And we actually have one of the pioneers of it. He's Michael Berkowitz. He's the founder and CEO of Norwegian Wool. So welcome, Michael. It's good to have you. We like to talk to CEOs who are really running real companies. What's going on? Explain to us where this came from. I mean, you started out as a commodities trader, not as a fashion guy.
That's right. Well, thank you. It's great to be here. So when you talk about quiet luxury, you know, I don't think that's anything all that new. I think most of us and most people in the audience who really have their own story to tell, they want their brand to be the one that's being worn, not another company's brand. And so when it came to the world of outerwear, when I was a commodities trader, the line I like to say was every year winter would come around and my nice coats weren't warm and my warm coats weren't nice. Just a very simple problem. And I didn't want to wear something that was big and puffy with branding that you could see from the moon and I looked like this Michelin man. And I didn't want to wear my Italian beautiful cashmere coat that looked great, but if it dropped below 45, you were freezing. The pockets were like these awkward pockets that you can never really put your hands in. So it's just like merging two worlds together of comfort and luxury, and started as a hobby and then saw that other people wanted the same thing and then quit my job, and here I am now.
So you're designing and producing clothes for people like you or people like you used to work with, as well as the people on Succession that we've been looking at here. How do you go about deciding what they need and what they want? It's a bit different today than it was, for example, when I was just coming into professional, where we sort of went to Brooks Brothers, forgive me.
Well, the first thing is we actually try to listen to what the customer wants. So I like to tell my own team, we're not in some fancy office away from the people. We want an office with windows. We want to see what people are doing. We take customer feedback very, very seriously. So even before we launched our first line, we actually did market research, asked people what was missing in their nice coats. Everything from a better neck closure, better hand pockets, inner pockets, all of those types of things. And then we just took that research, put it into a coat. Some of it was easy. Some of it was just like the designers out there just weren't thinking along those ways. And then certain things were actually harder. We actually had to figure out how to do that without making it bulky or heavy. And then, we adapt. Now everyone is a little bit more casual. You and I were just talking about people want more comfort and more stretch. It's the same concept that we started with 9 years ago, but adapting a little bit to this post-COVID, a little bit more hybrid, a little bit more comfort.
How did you manage to create awareness? Obviously, I mean, we've been showing on repeat here Succession, and I know that brought a lot of attention to it, but there had to be something more to it than that.
So, do you ever watch the movie Moneyball?
Yes, sure. Of course.
So that was a big inspiration for me. There's a great scene where Brad Pitt is telling everyone else who doesn't like what he's doing that if you're going to just play like the Yankees, you're going to lose like the Yankees. If you're going to try to get players the same way they do when their budget is 30 times bigger, you're going to lose to them out there on the field. So we had to think creatively as a startup company who's competing against all these luxury legacy brands, how to get awareness. So the first strategy is not to go the classic influencer route and pay people to wear it. We're like, there are a lot of people out there, if they know what we're doing, they want to pay us to have it and then just run with it. So instead of getting coats onto the red carpet, which we have, and things like that, but that's all organic, we have been able to get coats out to Davos. And then lots of people wearing Davos, and all these CEOs and C-level people were wearing it to Davos. That got its own story, and a lot of people were more interested in what's being worn to Davos than the saturated area on the red carpet.
I know there was a whole story written about it, and David, I think you were at Davos, weren't you? Once?
I was at Davos.
I didn't see you with the coat, but we saw a lot of our competitors wearing those coats as well. But it gets to this idea too of brand identity too. I mean, he mentioned Brooks Brothers. I mean, for that matter, the first suit I ever bought with my own money was actually from Brooks Brothers. But I'm sure you know that fashion trends come and go, and what people want, or at least what people gravitate to, can kind of change with the time. So how do you make sure that what you've built over 9 years, that we're still going to be talking about 20 years from now?
So if I look at some of the other brand greats that I really look up to, I think they have stayed true to their mission. They have stayed true to what they do, but they adapt. The ones that do complete 180s from when they started very often don't. So in our case, we're staying true to our mission, which is luxury fabrics, mostly wools and cashmeres, infused with all different types of performance. What that means is if people are going a little bit more casual, a little bit lighter weight, if we get into new markets, we're now selling into a lot of more mid-climate markets that don't have a full winter. That is how we'll adapt and expand, but it's staying true to what we do. So we know what we know and we stay in our lane, and I think that has a lot of bandwidth there. I think that could go for many, many years, with a few twists and turns, but again, in that same lane.
So Michael, you have clearly a solid start in the business. How do you grow the business from here? Is it taking market share from others? Is it new geographic territories like China? How are you going to grow it?
So the first big area of growth was actually the women's market. I didn't think I was going to do a women's line. I felt like not coming from a fashion background, the first thing I would do with every new sample is put it on myself. And I knew I couldn't do that for women's wear, so I was a little bit scared to do it. But we were getting so many inquiries from wives, girlfriends, daughters, mothers, everyone who had been buying and saying, when do you have a women's line? So it took us a few years because we felt that that was a harder thing to get a nice silhouette with all that warmth. So that's the first area. Right now, you're going to see a lot more stores carrying our women's. You're going to see a little bit more brand extensions, like into accessories, like waterproof cashmere beanies, which has done really well for us. We tested that out. You're going to see more of those. These types of sport jackets, that was an extension. But again, all of that growth, new markets, the women's wear, new accessories, but still within our expertise.
It's fascinating. Do you have a lot of problems with supply? Because you actually make these things in Tuscany, as I understand it.
Supply, no. It was hard to first get in. A lot of these fabric mills are not interested in working with a new American company. You have to prove to them that you're there for real, that you're going to be there year after year. You're not going to move this stuff to Asia. Right. But once you get in, then suddenly get all these other introductions, and supply has been okay.